Welcome to the Nameless.
I thought someone moved the headstone until I checked the map and realized the entire row had shifted. At first, I assumed I'd just counted wrong. Grief does that to you. It scrambles simple things, directions, dates, your own reflection sometimes. Every Sunday at 4:30 p.m., I visit the same grave, same path, same parking space beneath the leaning cedar tree, same thermos of black coffee I never actually drink. It's a small cemetery, quiet, tucked behind a chain-link fence at the edge of town where the road thins into gravel and then into nothing. No office, no sign out front, just a narrow metal gate that sticks in humid weather. I started going a year ago, after my sister, Mara, died. Car accident, wet road, no other vehicles involved. The kind of tragedy that doesn't give you anyone to blame. Her plot is, or was, in the third row from the back fence, 5 stones in from the left. A simple gray marker. Her name, 2 dates, a line from a song she liked.
I could walk to it with my eyes closed, and for months I basically did. So yesterday, when I turned down the familiar strip of grass and saw an empty patch of dirt where her headstone should have been, my brain rejected it. I just stood there. The soil was flat, undisturbed, not dug up, not sunken, just blank, like it had never been there. My first thought was vandalism. Maybe someone knocked it over and the groundskeeper removed it. But then I looked left. The stone that had belonged to Mr. Halburn, an old math teacher who died years ago, was gone too. And the one beside his, and the one beside Dad. 5 empty spaces, perfectly aligned. I stepped back, counted rows. 1, 2, 3. I was in the right place. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo I took the day of the funeral. The picture was mostly sky and tear-blurred grass, but you could see the row behind us, a tall oak tree in the distance, a crooked stone 2 plots over. I looked up. No oak tree, no crooked stone. Just a flat stretch of cemetery, extending farther than I remembered. I told myself the tree must have been cut down, storm damage maybe. Still, my chest tightened. I walked the perimeter fence. Same rust, same broken latch near the back corner. The cedar tree at the entrance was still there, so the cemetery hadn't moved, just rearranged. That's when I checked the map. There's a simple directory bolted to a wooden board near the gate. Laminated paper. Names listed in neat rows with corresponding plot numbers. I'd never needed it before. I scanned for Mara's name. It wasn't there. I scanned again. Nothing. My mouth went dry. I checked under her last name, then under her first in case they'd reversed it. Still nothing. I ran my finger down the column where her row should have been. The numbers skipped from 47 to 53. 5 plots missing. I stood there long enough for the wind to pick up. The grass shifted in waves, brushing against my ankles. I remember thinking, this is administrative. This is paperwork, some clerical error, some temporary removal. Cemeteries don't just erase people. I drove to City Hall the next morning. The woman at the front desk was young, polite, bored. "I'm trying to get information about Greenwood Cemetery," I said. She blinked. "Which one?" "The one off County Road 12, past the quarry." She frowned slightly, turned to her computer. There was a long pause, just the clicking of keys. "I'm not seeing anything by that name." "It's small," I said. "Chain-link fence, no office." Another pause. "We have a municipal cemetery on Lake Street and a private one attached to St. Bartholomew's." "No," I said. "This one's been there for decades." She turned the monitor slightly, as if to show me. A blank search field. "No record," she said, carefully. I laughed. It came out wrong. "People are buried there." She offered a sympathetic smile. The kind you give someone who's confused and not dangerous. "Sometimes older family plots are on private land," she said.
but they'd still be registered somewhere. I left before my voice started shaking. Back in my car, I searched the cemetery online. Nothing. No address, no mention, no satellite tag. I zoomed in on the area using a map app. County Road 12, the quarry, the cedar tree near the bend. But where the cemetery should have been, there was empty land, just an uninterrupted patch of green. I refreshed the page, zoomed out, zoomed back in. Still nothing. I drove back immediately. The gate was there, the fence, the rows of stones stretching out in careful lines. I walked straight to the third row, 5 spaces in, blank dirt. I started taking pictures, wide shots, close-ups, the map board, the missing numbers. My hands wouldn't stay steady. When I got home, I sent the photos to my friend Colin. He called within minutes. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "The cemetery," I said. There was a pause. "Dude," he said slowly,
That's just a field. My stomach dropped. What? The pictures you sent. It's grass and some kind of old fence. There aren't any headstones. I pulled the photos back up. They were clear. Rows of stones under gray sky. The directory board. Names etched in granite. "You're messing with me," I said. "I wouldn't joke about this," he replied, and he sounded sincere. We sat in silence for a moment. "Maybe it's a file glitch," he offered. "Compression error." I didn't argue. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I got back in my car. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to prove something, or disprove it. The road was darker than usual. No moon, no headlights passing by. When I reached the bend near the quarry, I slowed down. The cedar tree appeared in my beams, the fence, the gate. I parked. The air felt heavier, not colder, just still. I stepped inside. At night, the cemetery looked smaller, compressed. The rows felt closer together. I walked to the third row, 5 spaces in. Blank dirt. But the dirt looked fresher. Not dug, just recently flattened. I crouched down and pressed my palm against it. It was warm. Not warm like sun-warmed earth. Warm like it had been covered, recently. I don't know how long I knelt there. Long enough to notice something else. The other headstones didn't look quite right. The dates, they were all slightly off. One man who'd supposedly died in 1984 now read 1994. A woman who'd been born in 1932 now said 1923. Small shifts, just enough to make you question your memory. I walked the rows slowly. Every stone felt unfamiliar, like replicas. When I reached the back fence, I turned around, and for a second, just a second, the rows looked uneven. Not crooked, just misaligned, as if someone had dragged them a few inches to the left. I blinked. They were straight again. Nothing dramatic happened that night. No voices, no figures in the distance. Just the sound of wind brushing grass. But I left feeling like I'd stayed too long somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. The next day, I called the funeral home that handled Mara's service. The director, an older man with a calm voice, answered. "I'm trying to confirm burial records," I said, "for Mara Thompson." There was a pause. "I'm sorry," he said gently. "Can you repeat the name?" I did. More typing. "I'm not finding that in our system." "You handled the service," I insisted, "last April." "I've been here 22 years," he said. "I think I would remember." The line felt very quiet. "Are you sure it was us?" he asked. I ended the call without answering. That afternoon, I went through every document in my apartment. Insurance papers, condolence cards, the program from the funeral. Except there was no program, no obituary clipping, no sympathy cards.
My phone gallery had a gap in April, a week's worth of missing photos. I sat on the floor, surrounded by empty folders. My memory felt solid, heavy, detailed. I remembered the rain during the service. I remembered the way the pastor mispronounced her middle name. I remembered placing my hand on the casket before they lowered it. But there was nothing to prove it had happened. I drove back one last time yesterday. Late afternoon, same as always. The road felt longer. When I reached the bend, there was no cedar tree, just open sky. I slowed down, kept driving. No fence, no gate, no gravel turnout, just a stretch of untouched field running alongside the quarry. I pulled over anyway, got out, walked into the grass where the entrance should have been. The ground was uneven, natural. No sign of posts or hinges or tire tracks. I walked farther in, counted steps. 1, 2 rows, 5 spaces. There was nothing there, just wind moving through tall weeds. I stood in that empty field until the sun started to set, waiting for something to look familiar. It never did. On the drive home, I tried calling Colin again, straight to voicemail.
I checked our message thread. It was gone. Not deleted, just non-existent. When I got back to my apartment, I opened the closet where I keep the box of Mara's things. Old photos, a sweater, birthday cards. The box was there, but it was filled with my own childhood drawings, stuff I hadn't seen in years. No sweater, no photos of her, because there weren't any photos of her anywhere. I've spent the last 12 hours trying to remember her face. I can describe it: brown hair, freckles, crooked smile. But when I close my eyes, it's blurry, like I'm assembling her from pieces of other people. I don't know what scares me more, that a cemetery disappeared, or that I might have invented someone to bury in it. This morning, I drove back to the field again, just to be sure. The quarry was still there, the bend in the road, but as I stood in the grass, I noticed something I hadn't before: a slight indentation in the earth, 5 shallow rectangles in a row, faint, almost invisible, like something heavy had rested there for a long time and then been removed. I took a step back, counted rows in the tall grass. 1, 2, 3, 5 spaces in. I'm standing there now as I record this. The wind is quiet. The field is empty. And I can't shake the feeling that if I turn around too quickly, I'll see rows of stones stretching out behind me, waiting, or worse, that I won't. Because the part I can't explain, the part that keeps me awake, isn't that the grave vanished. It's that I can't remember visiting it before last week. And I don't know which version of that is worse.